Jacque, so many things stood out tonight. When you have 7 guys in double figures, 50 bench points, what was your biggest takeaway, and how impressed were you guys able to kind of come back and kind of come all together as a team effort?
Yeah, I'll give you one on each end of the floor. I think offensively, the 32 assists really stand out. Guys were really moving the basketball. Kevin was a hub for us tonight, really put them in a tough bind of double teaming him. He was a willing passer, and then he capitalized when he had the opportunities too. And then defensively, the second half, 29 points, pretty nicely done by our group to have pride in getting stops, and so those two things really stood out.
Jacque, I got 2 for you. Just career high in assists both from Cam and from Royce. Obviously Royce has been doing a good job with the 3 and the D part, but what do you see from him from a playmaking standpoint, and then Cam too? Yeah,
he's just a smart basketball player. And I think he gives us the luxury of being able to put the basketball in his hands with different groups. He has a high IQ, and so he keeps things pretty simple, which is pretty awesome. And then Cam, you've seen it before. He has the ability to make plays. He's grown as a basketball player to make plays for himself and others.
Then you mentioned the playing small pregame. I think you had a lineup tonight where Yuta was the 5-man. For counting on that, just how much of this has been your preference versus maybe the roster hand you're dealt with some of the attrition injuries right now?
I guess I was honest with you earlier, huh? That proved that part of it, right? I think overall, you have to be flexible with your the lineups that you put out in today's game. We looked at it as an advantage of having Yuta out there when Gafford was there. We could stretch the floor, put multiple shooters around, and made it difficult then to contain Kevin.
Kind of following up on that, I mean, you said from Jump Street you plan to push the pace and be a little more active in that angle. But defensively, going small, is that something you would expect to do a little bit more of going forward, even when you have a full roster?
Yeah, it's just it's a great challenge for the group. When you're small, you have to cover for each other. You have to box out every time. If you don't, you'll get punished. And so it's a great challenge for our group to step up and enjoy that, because we can capitalize on the other end with a little effort and care on the defensive end while being small.
And I guess following up on that, I mean, there have been instances where this team's tried to go small, and they have been punished, and they haven't responded on the boards. What, in your mind, what was the difference tonight where some of that stick-to-itiveness was actually showing?
Yeah, it was really a dedicated effort. You saw multiple times, multiple effort from guys where they're coming over as a low man and then scrambling out and still making contests. And so when you are small, you have to make multiple efforts. And we talked about at halftime. We showed one clip of great shell, us showing for each other, helping each other, going out and contesting the shot. We said we did that the second half, we'd be in good shape.
There we go. Megan?
I got to get your reaction from that first quarter KD highlight moment. What did you see? And when you saw the guy almost kind of do the splits there, what was your reaction?
Oh, I hope the camera wasn't on me. To be honest with you, I enjoy the game of basketball, and he's a special human being. He's a special player in our league, and he really enjoys playing the game of basketball, and it's fun to watch.
Should I presume that both Seth and Joe would be available tomorrow?
Let's go, Brian. Yes.
You got one more back. Go ahead.
Can you talk about the mental toughness that the team showed tonight, given a week ago there was a different coach? Ben was in the lineup, Kyrie was in the lineup.
Yeah, it's huge. And we talked this morning about really having a choice and being able to support each other with our feelings, with our effort, being there for each other. We showed we were there for each other tonight, and there's a mental piece to that for sure. We really talked about winning today's game, not complicating even more than that. Win today's game.
Thanks, JV.
All right.
Well, this was a major turn-the-page night for the Nets, who earned their first road win of the season. Their 42-point margin of victory, their largest ever at Washington, and tied for the 4th largest win in team history. They scored 60 points in the paint, 50 off the bench, 32 assists. All were season highs. And, Rebecca, Coach Vaughn did say that they were going to play small for most of the night. Well, that resulted, as we saw, in plenty of shooting.
Yeah, they did that for some of the night. And what was most interesting to me me, and a lot of the lineups that were on the floor tonight have probably, this might be the first game that they were all together, have had limited minutes with one another. And you heard him talking about how connected they were on the defensive end of the floor. And that can be hard to do when you're out there with different guys than you're accustomed to being on the floor with. It takes communication. You can even hear it over the TV microphones, the talking on the defensive end of the floor, the effort that they were showing when they were coming out of different schemes, as he was describing. Sometimes it's just about working as hard as you can and communicating with one another, and that's been a really big issue for them. And so considering they were able to do it so well tonight with guys on the floor who haven't spent a lot of time on the floor together was impressive too.
And I know you win by 42. The last thing you think of is resiliency, but they got off to a great start. The Nets did. Washington, again, got to within 58-57. Now you're thinking, all right, reality will now set in. Bradley Beal will get going. Kristaps Porzingis, they're playing in Washington. But the Nets close out the first half, 11-0 run, which begins a 70-29 run to close out the game. I've never seen that before. That, you want to talk about an example of getting it done on both ends of the court. And a terrific job by Jacque Vaughn, to your point, using different combinations and getting guys to play hard.
It can be demoralizing in a run like that when you know, whether it's Washington turning the ball over or the Nets getting a stop and going the other way, and all of a sudden, you know, they're pinballing the ball all over the floor and they're making the defense move, and it's tiring and it's hard and it can be demoralizing, and that leads to an incredible run like they had.
Connected to all of this might be the fact that there could be a narrative out there, perhaps, that Kyrie Irving's absence allowed everyone to play more freely. How much stock do you put in that?
Well, it's well, hang on a second.
I had to ask the question.
Hang on a second. It's the elephant in the room. There's no question about it, but it's a small sample size. It's only one game, and let's not diminish what Kyrie Irving has done when he has played. And he was scoring a lot. He played well up until the game against Chicago. I don't know what was going on. He was invisible in that game, so Kyrie Irving did play well. But I do think it is an example of when you don't have the designated star out there and everyone's kind of standing around watching them go one-on-one, and the ball, to your point, is not popping. Jacque Vaughn brought it up. 32 assists. They had 9 turnovers. That's 3-1 margin. I'm doing really good today.
Really good.
But I know that's a fair point. Again, though, it's only one game, and I think what it did for a lot of the guys that you weren't used to seeing play, they're going out there. They're saying, this is my opportunity. I'm going to do things the right way. I'm going to run. I'm going to move the ball. I want to do things that'll keep me in the lineup.
And I think something that's interesting is they play tomorrow night in Charlotte. What if, it's a big what if, but what if we see this kind of unselfishness again? What if we see this kind of effort? What if we see this kind of energy? Then it's going to be a great problem to have for Jacque Vaughn or whoever is coaching the team at that time when Ben Simmons returns and is healthy, or if and when Kyrie returns, because again, it's one game, but if they can continue to do this, you might see them developing a different identity and being a different team when Kyrie eventually returns.
And we think that Ben Simmons, you mentioned, you know, he had his knee drained, the MRI came back clean. Here's the thing. Ben Simmons, when he comes back, this is a good example for him to watch him play, because Steve Nash had the line about, Ben, play through your mistakes. Do you think they have to tell Cam Thomas that? Cam Thomas, like, don't worry about it. I'll keep shooting. I'll keep playing. That's how Ben Simmons, I'm not saying Ben Simmons needs to stand outside the three-point line and knock down shots. Just get out there and go. Run hard, defend, move the ball, and then the good things will happen.
Play a little fearlessly.
Exactly.
But if they continue to play this way, also, it's less pressure on Ben.
100%, 100%. But when he gets back, he's got to be the one out there. I like the advice that Steve Nash gave him. Play through your mistakes. It's all right.
Very good. Lots more still to come on the post-game show as the Nets blow out the Wizards in Washington. A big win for Jacque Vaughn and the Nets in the opener.